Now, my training is a bit unique, let's say, and I believe it's actually going to be the best training for the average person to actually get to, the top level that I want to get to. It is unorthodox training, but that's why it works. The biggest thing for my running is not improving my speed and distance as fast as possible. Obviously, I'd love to do that. My most important thing is staying healthy, staying injury-free, and being consistent. If I can't do the session as prescribed, that is a fail.
Hi there, my name is Zach, and I have the goal of reaching the Brisbane Olympics 2032 marathon. Now, as you can see on the screen right here, these are my current PBs, and I'm a long way from making that dream a goal. But I'm hoping, with a lot of determination, patience, and hard work, that I can make it. I would love it if you guys could join me on my journey to go from a below average runner, to a pro. With that said, let's get into today's video.
Good morning and welcome to a lovely November sunrise. It's very windy. Hope you guys can hear me. It's about 12 degrees at the moment. Lovely. Yesterday it was about got up to 30, just under 30. Summer is on its way. Just doing a nice easy run today. Hour 45. Should be 13 to 15k, and we're back into it. Back into training after Canberra half, onwards and upwards towards Canberra full, which is in 21 weeks-ish, give or take. My peak long run for the Canberra half was 2 hours and a half, and I'm already doing hour 45 because I'm doing double the distance. Pretty much need to do double the long run. My long run for the half peaked at 2.5, but for this one, for the full, it's only going to be 3.5, so about an hour longer. I think I did 22k, so add another hour, I get let's say 32k. Was that 20 miles? When I started out this morning, it was going a bit easier, but at the moment I'm going probably a bit harder than I would like. I've had a few days off just because I had to let some blisters recover. Don't worry, I'm not going to show any more pictures of my feet. If you want to see those, watch last week's video. Now I feel a little bit gypped. It's mid-November. Now I heard on the radio people talking about Black Friday. So I thought, that must be coming up soon. It must be this weekend. So I had a look and saw there was a few sales on. And I bought a bunch of stuff. I mean, I didn't buy stuff I didn't need. I got 3 more sets of shoes. And I was either going to buy them now or in like 6 weeks' time. So it doesn't really make too big a difference. It turns out Black Friday is not for another couple of weeks. Could have waited. Anyway, I still got a good 20% discount, so I'm not too upset about that. 20% saving is not nothing. Definitely happy with that. But yeah, probably could have waited a couple of weeks until the actual Black Friday, see if there's any more bigger discounts. But it is what it is. Now, my training is a bit unique, let's say, and I believe it's actually going to be the best training for the average person to actually get to, the top level that I want to get to. It is unorthodox training, but that's why it works. Now, at the moment, I've got 4 different variations of training sessions I do. So I've got the easy run, mostly during the week, and that's what I do on the weekend as well. Nice, long, easy. I then have a weekday interval session. That's roughly at about threshold. So at the moment I'm doing 10 by 6 minutes. That's built up from 5 by 2. So instead of doing 20 minutes of intensity, now I'm doing an hour. So you can see the progressions it'll eventually peak out at 9 by 10. So about an hour and a half. I've also got a envelope run, or tempo, whatever you want to call it, long tempo. So if you've seen some of my other videos, I think I released one on a Wednesday recently where I talked about my 90-minute tempo. That's very common. I've done a 2-hour, and that's just part of the marathon build. I'll probably end up doing a 2.5-hour plus to 3-hour tempo run. So you can see really building up the time on feet at that sort of intensity. My other mainstay is a tempo build or progression run. Basically starts off easy and slowly gets a bit faster. So end up doing about like 4 blocks, so 4 different paces, and that's a pretty good one. I love tempo builds. I've been doing that for forever, since I started running basically, 6 years ago. Have you guys heard the saying, what got me here won't get me there? That's basically saying I've done well to get here, but if I want to go even further, if I want to progress, get faster, more efficient, I have to do something a bit different. I kind of agree with that, and that's why I'm making a few small changes. The most important thing is remaining consistent, but sometimes you've got to make a few tweaks. So what am I changing? If you actually look at my channel, my top performing video talks about my training regime, where back when I started I was doing a 3-day block. So it'd be an easy run, then a hard run, and then I'd get a rest day. Now when I got sick in August, I then changed it up a bit to a 5-day block. So easy, hard, off. Now what I found, I've already started this, is I moved from a 5-day block to a 6-day block, and I'm already so much more happy with it. So basically just adds 1 more easy day on the end. So 2 hard days, 3 easy days, and 1 day off per block. And so obviously the days that I do each week will change over time. So what's going to result from that is essentially I get 1 day off every week, but once every 6 weeks I get 2 days off. So that's quite nice. I actually like more running than less, because I find, especially this week where I've had 3 days in a row off, I'm a bit stale. It was a bit hard to get in, and I feel like I'm pushing harder than I normally would, just because my body's like too well rested, too excited. What else am I changing? So I'm adding 2 more different sessions to my repertoire. So I'm still doing the weekday threshold intervals, still doing the tempo runs, but each 6-week block I'm adding 2 more intense weekend sessions. So it used to be just the threshold work. Threshold and easy used to be the only work, the only hard work I do on the weekends. But now what I'm going to do is I'm adding 2 new ones. So the first one is the sweet spot. So it'll basically be, slightly harder. So tempo should be roughly between about 85 and 95% of threshold. I tend to stick in the lower parts, it's like 85 to 90. But what the sweet spot does is a bit closer to threshold. So it's kind of like riding the line between about 92 and 97%. So you're not quite going threshold, but you're also like not as easy, not as hard, so you can go a bit longer than whatever 1 hour would be for threshold. The other session I'm adding in is longer threshold workouts on the weekend. So I think I'm going to start about 4 by 20s and then slowly build up to about 8 by 20 minutes, which will be about 2 hours of threshold over the course of a run. I'm definitely going to need to monitor all of this, because the biggest thing for my running is not improving my speed and distance as fast as possible. Obviously I'd love to do that. My most important thing is staying healthy, staying injury free, and being consistent. If I can't do the session as prescribed, that is a fail. That's why I go a bit easier during my sessions, and especially during the week. I think the biggest improvement I've made in my running is due to my treadmill work. Because if you follow my Strava, 90% of my runs are on the treadmill. Because I'm able to pick the speed, I can set it on my easy days to an easy setting and just run. I don't need to worry about hills. I don't need to worry about pace. And so I don't need to care. Just get on and run. thinking, check on some YouTube videos and just go. And that is the biggest way I've improved my running. I think the biggest hack that I've done is because you've got the treadmill, you can sit to whatever pace you want. Now, what I do is something that's very basic, something anyone can do, and I don't think anyone's done it yet. So every 2 weeks, I increase the pace by 0.1k per hour. That's right, it's that simple. So this week, I'm at 10.5k per hour for my easy run. The treadmill's off, it's about 1 to 2 minutes per k off. But let's say I set it at 10.5. I run at 10.5 this week. I run at 10.5 next week. Week after, up to 10.6. Another week at 10.6. Then we go back up again to 10.7. Every time I hit a 0.5 or 0, I take a recovery week. But I think that is the absolute secret to my improvement. Because the body can't tell the difference between 10.5 and 10.6. So if you do your efforts 10.5 and the next week you do 10.6, your body feels like it's the exact same. And so over time, so it's going to take me, so every 6 months, I go up by 1k per hour. So I'm increasing my speed without my body knowing that anything is changing. The issue with that, well, not issue for most people, the reason most people don't do it is it's boring. You do the same thing week in, week out, and you're only slowly increasing the intensity. The reason that sort of training works for me is because I'm not looking at my next race. Sure, I'd like to improve, I'd like to go faster, but ultimately I'm looking at 7 years ahead. So I'm not planning for the next 12-week block. I'm planning for the next 7 years. And so I don't need that sugar hit of, perfect workouts, of perfect training. As long as I can get some B+ or A- sessions every day, it's so much better than going too hard, too soon, peaking in 12 weeks and then taking a 2-week break. That is what's been my success over the last year. It's because I don't care about that sugar hit. I'm following that major performance in 7 years. The final change I'm making is I'm going to do 2 runs per week outside. Because when you're outside, you can't really control your pace as much. I think that's going to be a bit more beneficial. So rather than just doing, my easy runs or the occasional hard workouts outside, get to do both. Get my body used to pounding the pavement, but also get the beneficial nature of the treadmill with the reduced strain on the legs during the week. You gotta have a bit of a mix of both, the best of both worlds. And I think 2 runs outside being the weekend, I think that's the optimal strategy for me. And I'd love it if you guys would join me on that journey. So please make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next week.